Okay, we're gonna go over cones. We're gonna go over how to make batter for cones, step by step by step, so that you are amazing at cones, you're confident in cones, and you know exactly what's expected of you when making cones. We have several employees that don't do cones because they're just not good at it. So we're gonna take the hard guessing parts out of it for you by doing this video, so you will all be great at it, so everybody will take a turn making cones so that there 2 or 3 people aren't always stuck making the cones. So this is kind of a foolproof way. I do a half a batch when I'm making cones. That is what I want for you guys too, because when we're busy, I don't like batter sitting out or being left in the fridge like this. So this is a ton of leftover batter. Look at that purple in the back too. Or is that ube? I don't know. Anyway, we have 2 pitchers and a thing full of batter in the fridge.
When it's cold, the consistency goes weird.
Yeah, it goes thick. We like it made fresh. If you have a little bit left over, that's fine, but 2 pitchers and a thing in the fridge is too much. So we do half a batch every single time. So if you're making a full batch, we'd ask you to stop. So half batch it is. On a half a batch, you pour your water in first. So this is our mixing bowl. This is our mixer. You do a half a batch of water first. So that is
1 quart.
1 quart. So that's 2 quarts. There's a little circle on the pitcher that shows 1 quart. So you fill it up to 1 quart. You pour the water in first so that the batter does not stick to the bottom of the bowl. If you put this in first and then pour water over it, you're gonna have chunkies and you're gonna waste a lot of our product. So you pour the water in first, then you come to our batter. You fill this up. You do a full scoop of this. So I'm a little low, so at the end I'm gonna do a tiny bit more, but you do a full scoop of this.
So it's 1 quart water, 2 quarts powder mix.
Yep, so 1 to 2.
1 quart water,
Shake it down.
2 quarts mix.
2 scoops of that. So like I said, I was a little bit below the line, so I'm gonna come back in and get a tiny bit more to make sure it's the consistency's right. So show them in. So your batter is floating on top of, your powder mix is floating on top of the water. So then I stick this in. When you put this into the KitchenAid, this little knobby thing right here clicks into here. These on the sides click here. So you make sure you've evened up and the sides so that they've both gone over. So it's sitting there, you can see it's slanted like this. Push the back down, it clicks in. And then I take this whisk and you put it up and over so it clicks into place. Then there is a lever over here on this side of the KitchenAid. You click it into place. Start on 1. Is the thing out? Let me hear you go flip the switch.
Do you want me to stop and tie it?
Yeah, 1 sec, I'll just run. Talk to him about something else. I'm running.
Okay, and while this is mixing, we're gonna show you how to mix. You gotta get your machines warmed up. So these are your waffle machines. They're all connected to the same electrical cord. So you plug that in, and then they're all set to 250. 250. This one's a little high, 250. Now, this is a great example of what not to do.
So this is from Saturday night.
See all this mess?
See all this? So it looks like they made waffle cones,
They
burned a
got
couple,
burned, scraped them off.
did not clean up their mess. Holy shiz. So
Let me just tell you guys something. When you burn cones and then have to scrape them off, it ruins our waffle machines.
it ruins our waffle machines. So
And they're not cheap. And
this is, get the floor. This is completely unacceptable. In the future, if we see that you have been making cones and that you've burned them and that this area is not cleaned up after, this causes ants, bugs, mice. We have to pay money every month to spray this place to keep it clean. What attracts bugs, ants, and mice? Messes. This is straight sugar down here. And so if this isn't properly cleaned up, then we are gonna have a problem with bugs and that can get us shut down. So this is a huge no-no to us. If your cleaning station looks like this at the end of the night, plan on staying 15, 20 minutes. This better look sparkling clean. This is completely unacceptable. So I hope you know that, because we'll find out who made cones and left this mess, and they will be either given a warning or let go, because this is absolutely unacceptable. Cleaning is our top priority here. And so if whoever left this mess, just know that you'd be fired after the first warning. This would be your first warning. This training video is your first warning. If you ever leave this station like this, we're gonna have some issues. So,
just know that after watching these training videos, you are held to these standards.
Yeah.
And that is what we are enforcing.
So right now we are warming these machines up at 250 degrees. So you'll see the bottom number right here is 210. It goes in increments of 10, 20?
Yeah, 20.
20. So you'll go 210, and then you'll go up to here, 2 dots over from 210, and you'll warm it up. This light right here means it's warming up. 210, 210 like Devin said, it's warming up. So once they're completely warm, this light should turn off. Before you pour, open it up, make sure it's warmed up, because sometimes the breaker in the back trips, just like you saw me run back to fix. The breaker is in the back wall. It'll show it's orange, you flip it, and it'll turn these back on. So they're warming up right now, but they're not quite ready. The lights are still on. So we'll come over here and we'll mix this. Why isn't this working? There we go. So when you start, you'll put it on level 1 to get the water and the powder mixed. If you immediately put it to a high level, you're gonna spin all the powder out and it's gonna make a mess.
Yep.
So start it on 1. Once it's all combined, pick it up to 2 or 3. And then we're gonna have this mix till all of the chunks in here are completely gone. We do not want a chunky batter. So if you're pouring through your bottle and you have chunks getting stuck in the lid of your bottle, then you're not mixing your batter enough. So while this mixes, you grab a bottle from over here. You grab these bottles. When you clean and wash these, make sure you're washing the loops, the outside, all of it. So you'll grab this bottle, and then you'll grab a lid from this box that you're gonna grab the tips that are cut off. That'll make it easier to get the batter out. So we'll use these for our batter. I'm gonna show them the consistency. So that is a really good consistency. It's not too runny, it's not too thick. We do not want them watery, and we don't want it to be like thick, goopy.
Like actual waffle batter.
Yeah. So this is a good consistency. If for some reason you use hot water on this, the consistency is going to be really runny. So you might have to add a tiny bit more powder, but just always be aware of the consistency of the batter. If it's too thick or too thin, we want it to be pretty easy to pour, not too thick, not too thin. So this looks good. It looks like it's mixed pretty good. I'll hit it really high. Get it super smooth. So then you'll come over here when it's done mixing. Do you want to add purple to it or just do regular mix?
Let's show purple because I want an example of the color.
So on these colors, you do not have to add a lot of color. So don't just, when you're first trying it out, I add a tiny bit at a time. That's what we want you to do. These are really expensive gel colors for us, and we don't want our products overly dyed. So I turn it off. Do not add the color while this is mixing. So I turn it off. I give like a tiny, can you see that, babe? I give like a tiny little drip in there. Start it on low.
So we want you to add it,
Watch
mix and see the color.
Add it a little at a time.
And then if you need more, add more, because we do want our colors vibrant, but we do not want to waste color.
So that gave us like a purpley mauve color. So I'll stop it. I'll add a little bit more. And you have to give it time to mix in because it doesn't mix very fast at first. You'll think, oh, that didn't even add anything. And then all of a sudden,
Yep, see how
it's turning a little more purple. So we want this to be a vibrant purple. So we'll squeeze a little bit more in there.
So instead of guessing, a little bit at a time until it's perfect.
Don't overly add it because you can never take away color that you've added. So I'm going to do one more squirt and then be done. can add a little more purple if you want a deeper purple. I'm just gonna do kind of a medium purple right now.
We'll show the lid of the color versus the thing. See? Very similar, nice vibrant purple, but we didn't over waste and guess on the dye.
Yeah.
Please don't waste it, it's expensive.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll drop down that lever, the same one that you pushed up with, you'll drop it down to remove this. I take off the thing and unclip the bowl.
Oh, look how she grabbed the bowl out with the mixer so she doesn't drip it everywhere.
Yeah. So you don't want to drip this everywhere. You'll clink this, get all the batter off of it, and then you're gonna bring this over here, set it free.
Pro tip, rinse this while it's fresh. Don't let it dry on there.
Yes, that's a good idea. Then you'll come over here. You'll pour this slowly into the bottle.
Listen guys, we know that spills are gonna happen. If they happen, clean them up quickly. If you let stuff sit, it gets way worse to clean up. So if you have some drips, just clean it up.
So then I set it back in the mixer. I still have my batter in here. I would prefer if you guys did not put the batter in these. It wastes our pitchers and they end up creating more things to clean up. So do you want to do more dishes? No, we don't want to do more dishes. So this just had water poured in it, so I can just flip it back up here and let it dry out because I didn't use it for anything else. So I have one bottle, one lid. I don't pour it in a pitcher. And when this bottle gets low, I refill it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 things, if you include the mixer, that I have to clean instead of 6 or 7 things that I have to clean. So cut your things in down, the things you have to clean down by thinking a little bit. So there's only a couple things I have to clean. We'll come back over here.
Notice the lights are off.
So one thing I do to make sure they're still turned on. Oh, still working. They didn't trip a breaker, so I'll flip it high to see if this pops on. Check this one, still working, it's good. Check it, yep. So they're warmed up, they're ready to go. They're on 250 degrees. I cook them at a minute 30.
Yes.
So you cook your batter at a minute 30. So I lift the lid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the lid. Lift the lid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the lid. Lift the lid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Close it. That's close to the wall. I'll have to move up. I set my thing right here.
Timer.
Once you've poured all 3, set it at a minute and a half. That's the dash past the 1. Minute and a half is a dash past the 1.
Now, when you guys are cooking waffle cones, you have to think. If you have a color and you're cooking them at a minute and a half and they turn brown, your temperature is either too high or you're cooking them too long.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we don't want brown cones, we want really pretty cones. So just think about that.
Depending on the color you use, like purple, orange, you get this hair out of my face, babe. Purple, orange, black, blue, they all cook a little bit differently. They all cook a little bit differently. So you could be doing everything the right way, and for some reason your purples are starting to turn brown a little bit. Maybe purple just cooks a little bit faster. So if it's turning brown, it's meaning either you have your temperature too high, so check your temperature, or you can decrease your cooking time. So maybe it only takes you a little over a minute to cook purple, which is great. It's less time. So maybe blue is taking a little over a minute and a half because when you're pulling it up, the cone is pulling apart. If the cone is pulling apart when you open these, they need to be cooked longer. So a minute 30 isn't long enough. Minute 30 is just kind of a universal number that works when we're cooking most of the time. But that doesn't mean it's always gonna work. Somebody might make their batter a little thicker. Some make it a little thinner, just depending on how you're measuring. So we've cooked it for a minute 30. This is our first rodeo. What we're gonna learn from this is if we need to cook it longer or less, and if I need to make them bigger or smaller. So your cone should match the size of these. So that's perfect. I don't see any brown. This did not pull apart when I opened it. I grab it, 1, 2, 3, with flat hands, open up the next one. Grab it, Put it on there. The lines are straight, horizontal, and vertical. 1, 2, 3. Next one, grab it, put it on there. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so you can
So,
see.
the size is perfect. If it was hanging over the edges, I know with my next pour, I need to do a little less. If it was less than the size of the, what would you call this, a form?
Shaper.
The form or shaper, I know I need to pour a little bit more. I only held them for 3 seconds. This is what we want. We want a U shape. We do not want them close together. We don't want a hole. We want them straight up and down so the ice cream easily slides into these. Holding them for 3 seconds makes it so that they're not too narrow. Also, you move fast. You don't open all of these up and then grab them to move them. They dry fast.
Yeah,
You have to
time.
move quickly. Open it up, grab it as fast as you can. 1, 2, 3. Open it up, grab it as fast as you can. 1, 2, 3. When I form them, my hands are literally like this. 1, 2, 3. Grab the next one. 1, 2, 3. If you're doing weird things with your hand or you're grabbing it like this, it's gonna create waves. It's gonna be uneven. We want both sides even. We want formation on them. We want lines straight so that they easily fit into this.
Okay.
If your cones do not fit sitting down inside,
So they're not touching the edges, it's inside.
that way when you're sitting, if it's too big, it's gonna sit up like this.
And that just makes it hard and
Hard
messy
for
for
our
the customers
customers.
to eat it.
Yes, so you want the cones to sit down in this. This is the exact same length as the form. So if yours are too big, they're gonna sit not the right way inside our cups. If you're making them too small, they'll look dinky. So we want them to measure and be exact shape and size of the hot dog trays. So we'll leave one of these back here. Maybe we'll put one on the wall as a guide so that you guys know the expectation of these cones. We want the ice creams to slide right into these. If you have batter that pulls apart, what are you doing wrong? You're not cooking it long enough. If you have batter that's turning brown when you cook, you're overcooking it. So again, when you pour, let's do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, close it. 1, 2, 3, 4, close it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So see how thin this batter is? If it's a little thicker, that's okay. You just need to be very aware at how long you've poured them. So again, we're setting this at 1.5 minutes. We're gonna let that cook. And I just leave this here until I'm ready to re-pour here.
Also want you
If
guys.
you burn, sorry, go on.
You
If
burn.
you burn your things, if a customer walks in and you forget what you're doing, it's okay. I have burned them too. Everybody gets distracted, especially when we're busy. That's okay. But when you burn them, make sure you are cleaning these the right way. If you do not clean them the right way, you will ruin our machines. We have these little cleaners here. Softly, I'll show you when I'm done, softly brush the grooves to get all the burnt or batter that is cooked on. So a big reason why the batter sticks to this is they think these machines are on and they're not fully warmed up. So they pour the batter and they're like, oh crap, the machine's off, it's not warmed up. And then they try to cook it and then they try to peel it off and it makes a complete mess like what you saw earlier. So if you're doing that, please remember to double check the machines before you pour. That'll help you avoid this kind of stuff. You should not have these kind of messes if you're doing cones the right way.
Never.
So
Never.
sadly, whoever works here this morning is going to have to clean up whoever made this mess. So make sure you're cleaning up your messes because making other team members do it's rude. So, okay, we're pulling quickly. Remember, the color still looks bomb. 1, 2, 3. Remember the lines. 1, 2, 3. Next one. If you work quickly, you should not have to use a tool to assist you on pulling these off. I barely feel the heat on my hands from these because I'm working so fast. I pull, I drop, I hold. I pull, I drop, I hold. Again, these
You can see they're
sizes
they're
are
not too close together.
yeah. These sizes are perfect. So be very conscious as you're pouring to make sure. If you notice you start getting kind of bigger, take it easy on how much batter you're pouring. If you notice you're too small, give it a little bit more batter, but a little bit of batter goes a long way on these. So once they've held form, this is exactly what we expect. We do not want our cones to look crappy. So put them in this. You'll stack them all this way. So as you can see, these cones are, this one's a little too narrow. It's not bad, we can still use it, but it's a little too narrow. Also, I don't like triangles because sometimes these don't match up.
Also show them the brown spots. So this
means
that there
you're
was a
not,
clump.
yeah, this means you're not mixing well enough if you're finding a lot of these in your mixture. So these are good, you can still use them. The size works great in our tray. They're perfect on size, so whoever made them did pretty good. But that is our expectation of cones. So once you get a layer, your first layer goes this way, you turn them around and you slide them this way. And you keep going every other way. So the next level, once you do this, the next level sits on top of this. So the whole bin will fill up. When you're finished, you throw a black trash bag over it, write your name.
Black trash
A clean
bag.
black trash bag over it, write your name, grab a
Okay,
label,
There's a food label right here. You're gonna write
name and color.
your name, the color of cone you made, and the date.
Yeah.
Very important to put the date on it so we know when it was made.
When you're finished with your cones or you're busy and you can't get with them, just leave this out right here, but make sure these are shut. They put off a lot of heat, and make sure you turn them off. Unless you're gonna be able to come back and work. So when you turn them off, you take the temperature, throw it to 0, 0, 0, and to be safe when you're closing, turn them off and also unplug this so that it is not attached at all.
Guys, I have been in here to open, and the
And these have
machines
been left on.
have been left on.
Fire hazard.
That's, I mean,
Very
this store
dangerous.
could burn down, and it would not only burn this store down, but it would burn down the stores next
The
to
next
it,
is- yeah.
and potentially really hurt somebody. So
Yeah.
please, double check, make sure you unplug those and turn them off.
Also, some extras on cones. If you notice these bins are dirty, please rinse them out, dry them out, and then use them. These get really dirty and they get full of cone. Just take an extra 2 seconds, rinse them out, dump the excess in the trash, rinse them out and let them dry, or wipe them down with a towel. When this gets full, you'll just pick it up, put a black trash bag on it. I'm not gonna do that right now because obviously it's not full. And this is where we keep our extra cones with your name and the colors on them.
Show them real quick how to clean the machines.
Okay,
So also in addition to this brush, if there is caked batter stuck in between the grooves, you can get one of the bamboo wood skewers that we toast marshmallows with, and that works really good for cleaning out the grooves.
so don't use water, don't use rags, don't use anything that's very, very harsh and abrasive. We don't want you like scrubbing this off. If you overly scrub, the black stuff on here is what makes it so they cook and come off smoothly. It's like a nice finish that makes it so we can grab our cones off nicely and they don't get stuck. These are brand new. So if you notice there's a bunch of caked batter in here because you have either burned or put the batter in when it wasn't warm enough, I grab this guy and I go along the grooves softly. I scrub. Softly,
Yeah.
softly.
If
Go
you
that
scrub
way,
off the finish,
go
you're
the
ruining
other
them.
way. We do not want the black finish to come off. So same with the bottom, you gotta do both plates. So you'll go up and down till you get it all off, and then you'll go side to side. Side to side. So you'll do that on all of them. I even like to use sometimes these brushes to kind of brush and clean off the back side, all of this. So whoever comes in today, or whoever made this mess the other night, can come back in and clean it. But you can see on this one, it has a little bit of red still left from the batter. They're easier to clean when they're warmed up. So you'll just come in, make sure you do top and bottom, each of the grooves. And like Deb said, if they're caked in the grooves and you can't get it out, go grab the skewers that we use to toast the marshmallow on s'mores and use the skewers to clean. So you can see on this one, this has been scraped too hard because the
Oh,
black finish
geez.
is starting to come off. So whoever cleaned this machine, or multiple people cleaning this machine, they're scrubbing too hard and that black finish is starting to flake off, and we won't be able to use it after a while. So please make sure you clean our equipment the right way, so that we do not have to rebuy stuff because you're not cleaning it the right way. So anyway, the colors for the cones are all down here. This needs to be wiped and cleaned as well. We keep the clean, all colors are supposed to be kept in here. And I think that's it for cones.
Okay.
Oh, cones. Also, every morning when you open, cones need to be filled out here. Cones need to be filled out here, and these need to be cleaned. So you can see from the days before that these are all dirty. Grab a dry paper towel, Take the paper towel. This is the quickest, easiest way. Grab a dry paper towel. I'm just using my hand for now. And push all the crumbs and clean these off before you add in more cones.
So here's a really
So
good
this is
example.
a great example of a crappy cone that should have never been put on the shelf. So you can see right here that this was pulled before it was done cooking.
That's why it's separated.
That's why it's separated. That is exactly what happened, is this pulled, it bubbled when they opened it, and then it separated. They tried to make it work, turned out like crap. So that is not what our cones are supposed to look like. That means you're not cooking them the right way. So clean all these out before you add cones in. If you need a rag, this is all dried whipped cream or dried ice cream. Make sure that is wiped off. Take these and make sure I just take all the crumbs out with my hand. Give it a quick wipe down, and it's better than it was.
Yep.
So make sure you do that before, and you can clean these, put them in the trash. Make sure these always look good, because obviously everybody can see our cones from where they're sitting. So it's really important that those are filled up every day and that those look really, really nice with bright, fun colors. If you come here and there are no cones made, then you need to let a supervisor or the manager know, so that if you get busy, cones are being made. We don't like this empty, so when it's empty, it's priority for the supervisor or managers to have people come in to make cones specifically. So make sure it's getting done, because we don't like running out of cones.
Okay, thanks guys.